So you're texting the girl, it's all going good, alright? You met her on an online dating application, maybe you met her in a bar. You saw this pretty girl on the bar, you got her number, you're texting her, everything is going fucking good, everything is going amazing, you're enjoying it. But at the end of the day, when you try to set up the date, when you're setting up the date, it's just not happening. She's busy, she's responding at the last moment, she's saying, hey man, I cannot make it today. I just got something important come up. Maybe something really did happen, alright? Maybe I'll give her the benefit of doubt. It's the first time. You text her again, you try to set up the date again, and again she's busy. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? Why is she doing this? She's texting me alright, she's talking to me alright, but she's not coming out on the date. Next thing you know, you're texting her investment is decreasing one text after the other, and soon she's not going to reply back to you. Now, why does this happen? Alright guys, so I'm going to answer one of the questions that I have from Nishant over here. He's saying, man, please tell me about flaking. Please tell me how to deal with flaking and why does flaking happen. So let's talk about it. Now guys, flaking is something which is usually out of your control. You can still have a little bit control over flaking by having a good initial interaction, whether it's online dating, whether it's cold approach pickup where you're meeting a girl in the mall, in the street, in the bar, in the club, it doesn't matter. Alright, if you have a good solid interaction, if you solidify your interaction, then there's less chance of you getting flaked. But again, flaking is the ugly truth of the pickup world, right? It happens with everyone. It happens with me as well. I'll share a story of me getting flaked so you guys feel a little better about yourselves. This was, I think, 2 years ago. I matched with this amazing girl on fucking Tinder, and I'm like, wow, this girl is hot, right? So I want to meet her. I'm talking to her. She's like, hey, why don't you meet me? I'm nearby your place in a coffee shop. I'm like, listen, I cannot meet you right now, but what about the evening? She's like, sure, I live in Sheraton. I'm staying in Sheraton. Why don't you come to Sheraton and meet me over there? I'm like, cool. Let's see. This girl is directly calling me to her hotel. So I try to solidify the interaction by taking her number, right? And I'm like, hey, listen, why don't you text me your number? She's like, hey, I don't do numbers. Why don't you just come over here, wait for me in the coffee shop, and I'll be there. Like, cool. I'm halfway there. I text her, hey, listen, I'm almost there. Waiting for you in the coffee shop in 5. There was traffic, alright? There was traffic, so I got stuck in the traffic. And next thing I know, the girl fucking unmatched me.
What?
It was a certain lay. It was a certain lay, and I was like, wow, man, I really need to solidify the interactions, really. So this is what happened with me. Though I love cold approach pickup, I still love it. So over then and there, I decided, fuck, I'm going to a club. I'm going to pick up a girl from there. And I went to a club after that and had an amazing fucking night out. As always, we're going to talk about that in some other video, but that was my story of getting flaked recently. It was 2 years ago. The reason I don't count flakes these days is because I do not get flaked. I have a different pattern of going about dates, and I'll share that with you at the end of the video. But for now, I want to talk about why flakes happen. So flakes happen when the girl is not emotionally invested in the conversation. Alright, that is one reason why flakes happen. The second reason flakes happen is something which is completely out of your control. And this I realized recently. There was another girl I was actually very interested in meeting. She came to Delhi for a couple of days and she told me that she's going to meet me as soon as she lands and all of that. But when I started talking to her, she's like, not interested, she's not answering, she's not calling back. I'm like, why is this happening? This girl was so interested a while back. Now, I'm not going to share what happened with her, but there's always this uncertain thing that can happen with women which can make them flake you, alright? And this girl went through a lot of negative stuff with her family. So that's why she flaked on me during that period. But later she was alright, and then we reconvened. So I want you to understand there can be certain situations which are out of your control, which you would never get to know, alright? Which you probably would never get to know, and you're probably blaming the girl for that. That is the second reason. The third reason can be she lost all interest because she found someone better. Not better, she found someone else, I would say. She found someone else who got her emotionally invested in that conversation, and now she feels that I'm talking to multiple guys. I really don't want to talk to multiple guys. This guy is nice. He's catering to all my emotional needs. He's catering to all my physical needs. Why do I even need to reply to this guy? And that's why flakes happen. And guys, today's life is very fast, alright? With online dating, cold approach, guys approaching girls everywhere, man. This life is very fast. Girls are meeting a bunch of guys. So don't waste a lot of time. Maintain that conversation flow if you have the chance to maintain that conversation flow and if you're interested in the girl. And what I mean by that conversation flow is basically try to maintain a frequency of texting her and to and fro, alright? When you're texting her, try to have a conversational text where you're texting her, she's getting back to you, texting her again, and try to maintain that, because if you do not maintain that, there are more chances of you getting flaked. And I'm not saying you text her all the time, but maintain a flow whenever you are talking. For example, if a girl is texting me at 8 p.m., I'll probably talk to her on text till 8:15, 8:20. It's not like she texts me at 8 p.m. and then I'll reply to her tomorrow and then she replies to me day after tomorrow, because that way you're not going to get the girl emotionally invested in the conversation. Now, I also want to share some more ways of solidifying the interaction. Now, how do you solidify the interaction? The basic thing is, now when I'm doing cold approach pickup, where I'm meeting a girl in a bar, a club, a daytime environment, in a daytime environment, I always have a crazy inside joke with the girl, and I'll always, take her picture while I'm saving her number. So I'll send her that picture later, right? I'll send her that picture. That might be my opening text. Maybe I'll just click a picture in her phone and save it as my contact details. Now, what that does is, when you're calling her, she sees the phone, she sees the picture, and she remembers the moment, alright? She's like, okay, this guy's calling me. He was a decent, cool guy. Maybe I'll answer. But if you're just calling her and there's no photo, there's nothing, it's just a name, like, okay, this random dude I met at the station, oh, he's probably calling me, I'm busy right now, I don't want to answer. To avoid flakes, you have to have a good initial interaction. Alright? A good initial interaction means doesn't necessarily mean a long initial interaction, though if you're a beginner, that might mean a long interaction. But if you're advanced, you can have a good interaction in 2 minutes. You can have that emotional investment from the girl in 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, that's all it takes. But if you're a beginner, try to elongate the set. Try to elongate the conversation so that she's more invested in the conversation, because I know a 30 minutes conversation definitely has more probability of getting a date than a 3 to 2 minutes conversation. Though sometimes even that 2 to 3 minutes conversation, if done right, has a good probability of getting a date. But if you're a beginner, stick to longer interactions, because that is how you get dates initially. So that is the way of reducing flakes: having good solid interaction, having an inside joke, some recall humor, when you're texting her. And apart from that, building that V-frame that it's us against the world. Alright, building that V-frame with the girl, and to get her emotionally invested, also getting some information, some personal information about her. I'm not saying that get her bank details or get her phone PIN code or something. Just some personal information like, hey, she also needs to know that you are emotionally invested in the conversation. And how would she know that is when you ask her these emotional questions. Hey, so, how's your relationship with your parents? Oh, how's everything at home? All of these things will also show that you're interested in her and she's also going to be interested. Now, apart from that, if you're doing this in online dating, this can also freak her out. So remember, alright, always calibrate what needs to be done. So in online dating, how I would solidify the interaction is by getting her on a phone call. Alright, so maybe I'll text her for 15 minutes and I'll be like, hey, listen, I really enjoy texting with you. Why don't we just get on a call? All of this would be a lot easier and it appears a lot more natural. So I get her on a call, I'm talking to her and I'm just setting a date. Alright, I'm like, okay. And I don't set a date which is very far. Maybe if I'm talking to her on Monday, I would set a date for Wednesday or maybe Thursday, max. I would not set a date for Sunday or Saturday, because no one has seen that shit, alright? That's too far and no one pre-plans that long. So I would not set a date, and I would not just set a vague date as well. Like some guys out there is like, hey, let's catch up sometime, let's grab some wine sometime. When is that sometime, man? When is that sometime?
Why would people do that?
You gotta tell her the exact time, the exact date. You gotta fix that fucking plan. So I fix that plan and then I'm like, okay, why don't we catch up over here? Now, guys, with the frequency of texting, I'm not texting her every day. So maybe Monday I call her, I solidify the interaction, talk to her for 20 to 25 minutes, I set up the plan. Alright, Tuesday, I will probably not text if I'm busy. If I'm not busy, if I really want to text her, I will text her, because I operate from what I want to do rather than thinking about tactics, techniques. Alright, on Wednesday, maybe I'll text her, I'll be like, hey, listen, how's it going, whatever. Try to get her on a call again and just talk to her. I'm not worried about the date. I'm not asking, hey, are we on for tomorrow? I'm assuming it's on for tomorrow. Now, Wednesday, I'm talking to her, and Thursday, I just tell her, hey, listen, I might be getting a little late, have some work in the office. And then, guys, that is an indirect way of asking her, are we still on? But I'm not asking her, are we still on? Because the moment you ask her, are we still on, means that the girl holds all the power in the interaction and you're nothing. Right? And you're just chasing her. That means that. So I'll just text her, hey, listen, I might get a little late, 20 to 30 minutes. I hope that's all right. Maybe I'll text her in the evening or afternoon itself. And she'll be like, yeah, that's completely all right. And maybe I'll just call her and I'll tell her why I'm getting late or if I'm not getting late. I can change that as well throughout the day. I can just tell her, hey, listen, work got finished early. You want to catch up early? Alright? It doesn't really matter. If she's free, she's definitely going to catch up early because she saved that time slot for you. Alright, you have to understand that she saved that time slot for you. Now, another killer tactic, and this is sort of an asshole tactic, man. I'll be honest to you. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but this is what I did to avoid flakes at all costs. Because I used to get like one day off, alright, one day off in 2 weeks. There was this time when I was doing boot camps, going fucking everywhere, different cities. I used to get like one day off in 2 weeks and one day off in a different city. Now, I cannot afford to be at home sleeping. I don't want a lazy day. Alright, that's not me. So I want to spend a lazy day probably with a beautiful woman. So I text a bunch of girls. Maybe I have like 3 to 4 girls. Maybe 2 girls I've approached in online dating. 2 girls I've done in cold approach. I text them, hey, what are you doing on Thursday? Like, oh no, nothing, no plans. Maybe one girl flakes out. She's like, hey, I have plans. I'm so sorry. And the other 3 girls, they're like, I don't have any plans. I don't do this. And understand, these are the new girls for me. Alright, these are not the girls I've been hooking up with. These are not the girls, who are my fuck buddies or anything like that. These are new girls for me. These are the girls I'm meeting on a first date. So what I do is I plan my day in a way where I'll schedule 3 dates in the same day. Maybe 2 dates in the evening and 1 date at night. The more attractive the girl is, and it depends. I'm not talking about features only, guys. I'm talking about the more attracted I am to her. Maybe it's mental attraction, whatever. The more attracted I am to her, that girl would get most of my time. So I'll probably set it up later at night. And the other 2 dates I'll set at the same time. Now, I'm not meeting them on the same time. I'm going to flake on one of them. Alright, I'm going to tell one of them, hey, listen, something important came up. Might not be able to attend today. And how about tomorrow, right? Or maybe how about next week? Let's figure it out next time. Now, I'm doing this because I have that one particular day in 2 weeks and I don't want to get flaked. So 3 dates. Now, what happens is, maybe, think about it, alright? Maybe the top girl flakes on me. The girl I've set a date, in the night she flakes on me. And that happens too, that can happen too. Then I still have one girl I'm with in the evening and I can spend the night with her. Alright, I don't have to let her go. If both the girls agree, then what I do is I meet the girl in the evening. I tell her, hey, listen, I have something important to do at like 10 p.m. So I've got to leave at that time. And the next girl, I just text her, hey, a different location, why don't you meet me over here? Alright, and then from that location, I just spend some time with her, probably try to pull her to my place, and then from my place, get ready and go for the second date. That's how I avoid flakes, and I hope you do that too.